I'm Derek. I work at Flywheel currently. I'm really bad at public speaking, so bear with me. I want to get better, so I thought I would do this. I just kind of wanted to talk about my my background here, what I've done in the last 8-9 months. I went from working in life insurance to now in the tech industry, so I just kind of wanted to go through that. I'm just going to kind of talk about why I decided to join Omaha Code School or get accepted there, kind of the process we went through throughout Code School, and just life after Code School so far. So before Code School, and this was in January, I started, our class started like January 25th, I think, something like that. It seems like years ago already. But I was working at a boring life insurance consulting company. I won't say the name, it's not needed. But I was a life insurance analyst. Not exciting at all. We would basically look over life insurance policies that were bank owned. We would make sure the banks were doing their fiduciary rights and making sure these policies aren't, you know, crap in the bed. So it was really boring. After a while, my last year there, I just kind of found out I wasn't learning anything new throughout the day. I was just going through the processes every day, going through, you know, 8 or 9 of these insurance policies, just kind of just going through the processes, and I just felt like a robot after a while. I knew I needed something new, something different, something where I could learn something new every day. There's going to be, you know, something that it was just an endless amount of knowledge, you know, something, just something different. So after doing some research, I found Omaha Code School online. And my wife and I were in Benson one night. We ran into one of her teachers, one of her teacher friends that was just getting done with the Omaha Code School class that she was in. She talked really highly about it. So, you know, I listened to her. I got home, I did my research. I basically found any blog that I could write or that I could read and find about it. Kara, you I think had some that I read. A fellow employee that I work with, he had a lot of interesting things that he wrote up throughout his Code School process. So reading those, I just felt like it was a really great fit for me. It was going to be, you know, a small group of diverse people that were there for the same thing, you know, to get into this industry, to learn something new and just take a new path throughout their life. So I applied in late October, I believe it was. I got accepted, I think, in mid-November, and for the next month and a half, what they would do is give us a bunch of questions just to get prepared for the first day of class. I think it ended up being like 120 or so problems that we could go through. The first few, of course, were easy. It's just, you know, write something that would count to 100 by the increments of 5. But then, you know, it would get a little harder after you got through the questions where you were building apps for, you know, tic-tac-toe, rock, paper, scissors, stuff like that. And that just kind of got us prepared for the first day. So yeah, the first day was late January. It was pretty terrifying at first, just because I was quitting a job that I'd been at for 5 years that paid well, that had good benefits, and I'm luckily I had a supporting wife that let me, you know, do this, you know, quit my job and not get paid anything for the next 3 months of my life. So once we started Code School, though, you know, we had a class of 18, I believe it was, or 16. Luke was in my class.
Ever me?
Yeah. But it was really a wide range of emotions that you went through throughout Code School. Every day you doubted yourself. Every day you thought people were so much ahead of you than what you actually were. But everybody thought like that, and that was kind of funny. Once everybody in our class got to know each other and started talking, you know, throughout lunch, everybody opened up and kind of we're able to just realize that, hey, everybody's doubting themselves here. You know, we're not going to get pulled aside 3 days into it and have the instructor say, well, you're not a good fit. We're going to have to kick you out of here. That never happened, luckily. The instructor is Sumit, which I'm sure a lot of you know. Great guy. He's probably the most patient guy I've ever met in my life. So going through that, the 12-week process of Code School, we gradually got into things. We didn't even learn about Rails, which was the main back-end code that we would learn until 7 to 8 weeks into it. He wanted us to get the basics first. So our first big project was a solo project that we would actually built with Sinatra. And then going forward, we basically converted that Sinatra project into a Rails project. Personally, I built a beer rating app. If anybody's familiar with like Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, I think, is another one. I kind of focused on that, where I would do just strictly Nebraska beers, so users could sign in and rate beers that are made in Nebraska. So that was fun. And then we did one large group project where the project that I was on was building the website Omaha. And Kara, I believe her group worked on that also when she was in Code School. Yeah.
Just likes to keep rebooting.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. But we kind of built that, from the ground up. So that was fun. The one good thing about that project, I thought, it was a group of 4, and so we were split, 2 people in the front end and 2 people did the back end of the project. I myself was on the front end team with another guy, and it was just interesting, I thought, because it was a little more of the real world aspect that you would get instead of all four of the group members touching both the back end and front end. In this case, we had defined teams, so I thought that was interesting. So we got through that. I would say the one mistake that I made, though, with that project is I volunteered for the front end because I thought that was maybe a weak spot that I had throughout Code School, where I thought I should have a wide range of knowledge through back end and front end. After doing some interviews after Code School, some people had the thought of, really at this point you should stick with one thing going forward, and then you can broaden your skills as you move forward. But just having that one skill that you really nailed down might benefit you more at this point. So throughout Code School, I thought I was a little stronger in the back end. I think I made the mistake, and I think I should have probably kept doing the back end work throughout Code School instead of stopping that and then moving toward the front end work. So that's just something where I could have, I think, improved on. But basically, I think we graduated at the end of April throughout Code School, and then it was Cinco de Mayo was my first day at Flywheel, so it was 2 weeks after that. I spent those 2 weeks, or the week and a half really, after Code School doing interviews. I was just trying to reach out to as many people as possible. I know I had meetings with Lindsay, and I think just getting in touch with really anybody that you could in this industry would have helped me, and it really helped anybody that's in a similar position. After doing interviews at Flywheel, I got offered there. It's been a great experience there so far. I've gotten to touch a few different things. Luke and I had a project within our first 3 months there where it was building some functionality in the internal tools that we use at Flywheel. So it's kind of cool because it's something that people use on a daily basis that they're touching that we got to build just in our first 3 months, out of Code School. And now just getting into different things, I'm learning how to solve server-side issues, why a site is throwing 500 errors, 502s, 504s. So that's something completely new to me as well, because before Code School even, I didn't have any experience with these server-side issues. And now I'm even transitioning a little more into removing malware from sites and being able to pinpoint what's malware, what's bad code, and what may be malicious and what is good code, and you don't want to crash a site by taking something out. So it's been really a whirlwind of just learning something new almost on a monthly basis. So that's kind of my story. If anybody has any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer, but yeah, that's just my last 8 months or so.
Does anybody have any questions from there? Yeah. So are you going to keep going with that beer app? I'm kind of interested in that.
Yes, I know. I would love to, actually. I found it funny how, once you actually start working, full days, that those side projects kind of stay on the side for a while. But it's definitely something I would love to start working on and actually make public a little bit. But yeah. Yeah.
What's it called?
There really isn't a name for it right now. It's just Nebraska beer. I was trying to think of something a little cooler, like Nebraska or some of them. Yeah, something like that. Some wordplay things, but actually those were all taken. So yeah, definitely work in progress for that still. Yeah. Well, if there's no more questions. Yeah.
So after you graduated, you went through the interviews and you started on Sleeping Mile.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you kind of dove in a real life job?
It was, throughout Code School, you felt overwhelmed a lot because it's something new, and it really just kept going. You still had that feeling. Yes. There's definitely a learning curve, with everything. It was kind of funny with our first project at Flywheel. We get into our app there, and there's hundreds of different folders, and when we're working on our own projects at Code School, we're dealing with 20 folders or something like that, 20 directories. And so that was really different. Just not getting overwhelmed with things was a struggle just for the first few days. But I think just getting into an office environment where everybody's super supportive really helps. So all of you guys that are experienced in this industry, I would just always be helpful to us Code Schoolers that come into the industry, because we definitely need it. But no, it was a learning curve, definitely.
So how'd that conversation with your wife go when you said, I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, but crazy idea that you're drawn to right now?
It went surprisingly well, because we were going to use that money to go on a vacation in like Bora Bora or something. Like, we were prepared to go on, spend a lot of money for a vacation because we hadn't done so. She knew I wasn't happy with my current job. And so, yeah, she knew that a change, had to be made. We don't have any kids at this time, so if I didn't make it now, there probably would never have been made. So it went surprisingly well. Yeah. Yep.
How would you rate your quality of life between now and last year?
Oh, it's 1,000% better. I get up in the morning wanting to go to work. Before, when you get that feeling that you're in a dead-end job, it's not a good feeling. You don't want to go there in the mornings. Now it's just great. It's a complete 180-degree turn, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
That was great. Any other questions, Derek?
No.
Fantastic. Give it up.
Thanks, guys.